Welcome to my channel. If you like what's going on this channel, please subscribe and comment. Let me know things you want me to talk about or show you how to do with regards to computers and technology. Now, a lot of people seem to be having issues nowadays, especially this time of year with Christmas coming up and whatnot, with computers. And I want to talk about a few things. Now, a lot of people want gaming rigs. They do a lot of gaming on PC. Now, a lot of people buy refurbished or buy store-bought gaming rigs. Whatever you do, don't. If you want a true, genuine gaming rig, don't buy a laptop or don't buy gaming rigs from stores and whatnot that are pre-built, because 99% of the time, they are shitty for the amount of money you're getting. They are the worst you can get for the amount of money. Now, I'm going to show you a few things you can do to do that. Now, of course, don't ever buy a laptop because you can't swap parts out. The whole point of a gaming rig is that if something fails or something gets outdated, like in a couple years, say your processor gets outdated or there's a new processor that's better and you want that, and it's a couple $100, you got a couple $100 laying around, you want to get it. Now, with the laptop or some store-bought rigs, you can't swap processors. You can't swap things out like that on those things. A lot of them you can't because they're built in. They're integrated. Now, that's why I'm going to show you guys how to design and build a custom rig online, and you'll have to build it yourself, which it's not. If you're truly into gaming, you usually know how to build it yourself. If not, you can ask someone nearby and they will build it for you. Now, if they're willing to. Now, of course, I'll show you how I do it. I'll show you my rig as well. Now, of course, there is one thing I might state. That is that the whole idea of gaming rigs is a PC that is extremely powerful, that you can do a lot with. Now, I'm also going to later on talk to you about how to maintain and keep that computer free of viruses and malware and junkware and whatnot. Now, first things first, go to PCPartPicker.com and a list, right? Now, you get this here, you get to pick all your parts and whatnot. Now, if I remember correctly, a buddy of mine built my system here for me. We designed it together, and he knew a lot about hardware-wise, and he knew what would cause what. And we kind of smashed our heads together to come up with this. And I'm gonna pause this video for a second. I'll be back in a second after I grab that. And I'm back. And I'm back. So, here's my rig. Now, here's the rig I am getting. Now, it's got an Intel Core i7, and now the difference between Intel and AMD is Intel has more power per processor. AMD has more has a higher core processor with less power. Now, there was an AMD 3.4 gigahertz 8-core processor. It overclocked to 3.4. That was it. Wouldn't go any higher. 3.2 to 3.4. 8-core, octa-core processor, which was a lot more money, and it really wasn't worth it. Now, in this case, I've got the 3.6 gigahertz, well, that quad core that overclocks to 4. It's been known to overclock to 4, and it's a lot cheaper. And now, if you look at it this way, is that the more cores it has, the faster it can go from 0 to red line. The higher power, the more power, gigahertz, the higher speed it can run. Now, I got a Camel Squad motherboard, MSI. It's a decent, probably the best one I got. Now, the reason why I got the Camel Squad is, you'll see later on. Now, I went all out on the RAM. Now RAM, 8's pretty good. Don't push anything past like 32, which is what I'm pushing. 4 8s. Don't push anything past 32, because anything past 32 is excessive. You don't need that much RAM. Now, I got a 2 terabyte solid state drive. I'm going to be getting 2 of these, lining them up next to each other. One's going to have my games on, the other one's just going to be everything else. Now, I have a video card, my GeoForce GTX 1080. I don't need a 4K, because 4K is just excessive. I mean, 4K on a computer, unless you're running it on a huge 55-inch TV, you're not going to really notice that much of a difference for the money you're paying. So, and then this is where the camo comes in, is the C70 military green ATX mid-tower case. Now, it's got the handles built in, obviously. Push button ignition, quite hilarious. Now, I chose this case because it's cheap. It's all steel, I might add, camo colored steel. Now, it's got a wire management system already built into it. It's got several bays. That's what it will look like all crammed in. It's got a bottom loading power supply, which is very, very, very useful, because if you have a top loader, your power supply is hanging down and it puts a lot of stress. Not to mention it's just a pain in the ass to take the power supply out. Whereas here, the power supply is on the bottom. It's on the bottom, so it takes a lot less stress on the case and on the power supply itself and whatnot, and it just runs a lot. It's just a lot better to put it there. Now, that's the front of the case, as you can see in the military green. It's a very nice case. I chose that case for that specific reason. Now, I like the color of it, I like the case. I know I'm going to put some stickers and whatnot onto it and make it mine. Spray paint it, some logo onto it, make it mine. Now, this is my power supply. There's 2 types of power supplies that are, in particulars. There's the normal power supplies and there's the fully modular. Fully modulars are stupid easy. Or like the idiot-proof power supplies. Pretty much, this is my power supply on the back. You'll plug it in, turn it on and off, the usual. Here's where it gets serious. Now, instead of having to go through and rewire the entire thing and have all these wires hanging around everywhere, it's modulated. CPU through here, CPU there. Motherboard plugs right from the power supply. Motherboard from the power supply right to the motherboard. Simple as that. Just from here to there, A to B. No A to B to C. No transferring. And now I went with my 650 watt because it's what I need and a little extra. So that's why I went with the 650, 80 gold certified. So it's 650 watts, so it's the amount of power that I need, plus a little extra in case I want to add LEDs onto it, which I damn well am. And then the optical drive, I put an optical drive in it. I'm going to have 2. Now the reason why I'm having 2, or even an optical drive in general, is because I do a lot of CD burning and whatnot for people, for friends of mine, with CDs and their computers don't have optical drives, and I like that. They bring me coffee or whatnot, and I do that for them. Now, that's why I have that. Now, the other reason is that I have 2 is because I can burn several CDs at once, and I have the ability that I can burn a lot, and I can also watch TV or watch movies and burn at the same time, which is nuts. Now, that's just something that I like having in my systems. It's not needed, but I like having it. Especially if I want to play the older games like StarCraft and whatnot, you need to have that. Now, and also if I get games on disc, it frees up my hard drive space. Now, to the total, I'm getting something that all my stuff has more power than anything else that's out there for computer-wise, and it's the same price as most big rigs. Most of the more powerful rigs that are store-bought. Same price only, and I'm getting like from about the same price for a mid at Best Buy, mid-sized PC, and it's 3 times more powerful and more useful than their biggest rigs. And that's me being cheap, too. So that's the difference. Now, of course, the most expensive is actually the Ripjaw RAM, I think. Yeah, the most expensive is the Ripjaw RAM. No, actually CPU. Nope. Ripjaw RAM. So that's the most expensive part, and that's why it's actually no, it's a video card. The video card is the most expensive. But that's the cost for each of them so far over the time period. Now, in my opinion, that's the best bang for your buck. Now, I'm getting this because it's what I got, what I want. It's got what I want. It's going to be able to do what I need to do so. Now, this, I'll put the link in the description here. This is a beautiful website because, as you'll see here, it gets me the lowest price on the internet right from this website. Now, as you'll see here, all the different prices from 400 Newegg Marketplace all the way to Vugo, and it chose Vugo's cheapest, so it said, okay, there it is, right? And it'll send me a price alerts and whatnot if it drops closer, drops lower. Now, Vugo, on the other hand, it's actually dropped significantly, keeps dropping. Wow, that's impressive. Because way back when I had built this, it was over here in like June, July when I went to go build it, and I'm just getting the money for it. Now, obviously, I like that it gives you all the issues, like all the points of it. Now, if I remember right, 4.2 max turbo. It'll go to 4.2, which is incredible, I might add. It's 64-bit. You got to keep that in mind. You need to make sure, if you're going to run gaming, run 64 bits. Don't run 32. 32s have problems. 64s can run 32-bit stuff because you're going from like a, say for example, you're going from like a big to half. It just chops half the processors off for the time being. Now, it only uses half the processors for that. Now, but you can't take something that's half the processors and double it when there is no double for it. Now, that's the issue with that. Now, of course, you know, it's very, very simple. I like this because it's very simple. You just CPU, choose a CPU, whatever you want. Now, let's go here real quick and I'll show you guys here. Now, of course, you can sort by prices and whatnot, right? As you'll see here, this one, the 770, or 7700 is a 91 watt, but 4.2 gigahertz. Now let's open it, click on it here and see, what's its clock speed? 4.5. It only jumps a little bit. That isn't much, in my opinion. And it's more expensive if I remember right. Oh no, it's actually cheaper. But see, the difference though is that I think I've got this one, and I know I've got the i770, so I've got the older one. But I got the 3.6 gig. Now this is the 870 3.7 gigahertz. Now if you see, it jumps significantly. Goes a whole gigahertz higher. It'll jump. This is a beautiful, actually. This is a beautiful processor. I'm gonna swap mine out for that because that is incredible. So we'll add this one here. Add. Now for the cooler, right? Don't use liquid cooled. No matter what people say, don't use it. Don't use it because they're a pain in the ass and they're stupid expensive to take care of, basically. They're high maintenance, high cost to maintain, and they're expensive, and there's They're very temperamental. Now, of course, they cool a lot quicker. They are better at cooling. But you load your thing up to high hell with fans, and it doesn't matter what liquid cool system your computer's got. It's gonna be incredibly what's the word I'm looking for? Incredibly cold. It'll run like it's in the Arctic. Now, the main thing is you really want the fan RPM. You really want to keep an eye on the fan RPM. Noise level and fan. I don't care about the noise level, so it could be noisy as all hell. I find it goddamn hilarious when it's noisy as hell, and just my opinion. But depends on how quiet you want it. You gotta figure out what you want. Do you want it to be noisy, quiet, and then you can determine what you want. Now, Cooler Master Hyper is a fan. Now this is a decent fan. Looks like bearing type sleeve bearings. It's not a liquid cooler. It's got about 9 to 36 decibels. It's 600 to 2000 RPM. That's a decent fan. But in my opinion, I believe, if I remember right, I am running, just be quiet, you know, that'll run a really low, really loud, but basically pretty much the higher max RPM it has, the better it'll probably cool, because it'll pump more air into it. Now, we got 2500s here, let's go based on fan RPM. Those are liquid cools. Now, this is a 3000 RPM. But noise level not available. Well, why is that 3000 RPM? There's no, that is not an existing cooler. So this one's 2800. Now, it is a very nice, that actually a very nice looking one. It is 31 or 21 bucks roughly. Now, liquid cooled, no. Sleeve bearing, it's a little loud, but it's a height. You gotta also keep in mind the height as well. That is important. You don't want it to stick out of your case. And now that's very important. Now, there is basically you keep going through it. There's very certain things you need to worry about. Let's go back here to the list here. Motherboards, basically in a nutshell with motherboards, the RAM slots is a big, you know, don't get something with 2 RAM slots, get something with 4 if you can. Max RAM is a huge must. It's you don't need 64. 32 is decent, but I mean, if you want to go and have that extra room to be able to wedge a little bit in there more if you need it, big if. And that's a big if, because if you're using 32 gigs of RAM and it's like regularly, I want to know what the hell you're doing to use 32 gigs of RAM. And why you're doing it. Now, that's why I'm only running 32, but 64, it's entirely up to you. These are basically all very, very similar in a sense. The form factors are just the sizes and like the different styles, in a sense, the different forms. Now, the sockets and CPUs, that's more, you don't need to really worry about that as much as, because the PC part picker will minimize. There's a lot more CPUs out there, but they minimize the list to what we've already got in the list here. Now, and as you go down this list, your choice will get smaller and smaller and smaller. And then the cases and whatnot. Cases are more of just what you prefer. I chose to have handles on mine because there'll be some times where I'm going to a buddy's house for a while, and I like to be able to pick my rig up and not have to walk funny with it in between my arms. I can just pick it up with 2 hands and carry it. Power supplies, go with calculate what you need plus a little extra. Optical drives is up to you. Operating systems. Now, I run Windows, but that's just because Windows is easy enough for me to use. I'm used to using Windows, and I don't have an issue with it. Now, of course, you can run Windows, but I would run don't run 8 or 8.1. Don't run either of these two. Don't run 7. Run 10 if you can. Because if you can run 10, it's smooth. It's like 7 just with a facelift and it's smoother. It runs smoother. Now, as for software, you don't need to worry about software. That's nothing. Monitors, if you don't have a monitor, you need to get one. External storages, don't really need to worry about that because you're gonna get. Now for storage, that's the biggest issue. Is that for gaming? Now, I wouldn't recommend going anything higher than like 4 terabytes total because that's excessive. Now, what I do is what I did with mine is what I'm hopefully gonna do is have a simple HDD hard disk drive as to put my non-gaming stuff on it. So like my programs, my app, like for example, like my different things that I personally use, my music, whatnot will go on there, and then have a solid state, an SSD for my games, and that allows it because the games will load like that, instantaneous. Now, that's just my opinion because solid states are extremely expensive, as you can see. Right? I'll go with here with capacity 12 terabytes. That's ridiculous. You don't need that much. Now, god damn it. Sorry about that, guys. My computer turned off. Oops. It decided it was gonna turn itself off for some reason. Anyways, as I was saying, so now there is an issue with these are all, as you see, these are all hard disk drives. Higher RPM, it will be noisier. The higher RPMs, it will be noisier, but its read and write speed generally is quicker. With the higher RPMs, it's generally quicker read-write speed. Now, what we want is the non-RPM ones. Let me find one here that's got it's a hybrid. Ooh, what the hell is that? I don't even know what that is. I'll have to ask my buddy about that. He'll know more about that. Now, for example, so same size drive, right? And whatnot, all the same. Now, solid state, this is a 3.5 and that's a 2.5. This is a laptop hard drive. This is basically a desktop. This will fit in most consoles and laptops. This will fit in. Now, of course, you'll need a special bay for that, for the 2.5, because it's a smaller hard drive, 2.5 inches thick. Whereas this one's 3.5 inches thick. It's a lot bigger. But the laptops will still work with anything. It's still a hard drive. It's just its size is different. It's the only thing. Now, other than that, if you look at the price, look at the price difference between the two. 2K versus $300. Hard disk drives are cheaper. Solid states are incredible. I mean, look at this. 4 terabyte solid state drive, PCI. It's $12K for a 4 terabyte hard drive. That's $3.60 per gigabyte. That's incredible. It's just pathetically incredible. Now, that is the key to that one. Now, of course, you guys can do what you want. I'm just giving you advice on what you should do. Now, keep going backwards. Now, of course, other than that, it's fairly simple. I mean, video cards, you see these a lot. Memory is a big thing. It's a big, the clock is. It's up to you. If you clock PCs, there's a risk to it, but if you clock PCs, it avoids the warranty. But if you clock them, you get more power from them, but they suck more power, so that's where the extra bit from the power supply comes in. Now, the series isn't too worrisome. Now, obviously, it's entirely up to you, but I personally prefer, I find that everybody seems to prefer, not the Asus, NVIDIA's, the GeoForce series. A lot of people like the GeoForce series and the Titans. And people like the Titans a lot. Price. Now the Titans are usually stupid expensive. This would be one of these things that you would definitely want to go for. Want to not cheap out on. And that is because this is one of the key staples of what makes a computer a computer. Everything else doesn't really have that big of an effect. If you have a crappy graphics card, the entire computer is going to end up being crappy. It's going to have a huge impact on what you can do. Now, of course, the GeoForce Titans are beautiful cards. Radeons are decent. GeoForces are... Well, the Titans are what's incredible right now. Titans are, like, next level, apparently. They're, like, next level shit. So that's... If you can get a Titan, go for it. If not, well, don't. Now, as for everything else, really, it's entirely up to you what you choose to do. Custom parts, they're just add accessories, case fans, fan controllers. Doesn't really it's up to you. Now, as for what I'm doing with my rig here is I am going to be taking the case, and that's why I'm going with an extra large power supply, and lining all the fan outlets with red LED. And then the inside just underneath this lip here will be neon red so that it glows red into the case, and so on. And it'll look very, very clean. Now, that is entirely up to what you can do what you want to do. That's just my opinion. Now, as to the second portion of this video, which is how to maintain and keep viruses, malware, junkware, and how to notice that they're there. Now, I don't run antiviruses that are constantly open there because I've learned to notice the differences. Now, one of the big ones that are a pain to remove is add something or other. It's like AdSense. No, not AdSense. Say we'll go to we'll Google October, because it's October. Let's Google October. And let's go to one of these websites, a random website. Doesn't work. Amadeus.com, usually articles. No, that's not an article. It's usually articles that are like this here, that usually has them in it. Now, you'll usually see them pop up. And they're absolutely everywhere. And, yeah, see this thing here. This thing here. Ad choices. That's a pain to remove, because it infects everything. Now, right now, it's not on my computer. But, if I click on it, it will go on my computer. It will infect my computer. Now, right now, this website is infected with that. And since the website's infected, if you click on that thing, it'll infect your computer as well. And then it spreads from your computer to other websites. It's literally like a virus. Now, what I use as to get rid of adware and malware is three things. Now, it's JRT. It's made by, both are used by Malwarebytes. I learned about JRT long before Malwarebytes bought it. They bought it from some dude who made it. He made it as a college project, and it exploded. It's a very, very, very nice. You download it from malwarebytes.com. It's called JRT. It's a very, very small. It's so small you could run it on your phone. It's only like 28 megs. It runs and it'll get rid of any malware on your system. Left, right, center, doesn't matter what it is. Now, that is great and all. But it really gets rid of, it'll search Chrome extensions. It's totally free. All these are totally free. Chrome extensions, everything. And it'll go through it. All your file systems, and it'll go through it within like 2 minutes, 2 to 5 minutes. And it'll get rid of most of it. It'll also, each time you run it, it resets your Chrome extensions and resets all of Chrome. And that is a good thing. Because everybody gets rid of junkware and then doesn't reset it, their Chrome or their browsers, and then the junkware just reinfects 2 minutes later. And it's back. Now, the other one I use is also by Malwarebytes. It is their actual main program. And now this is free to use. You can pay. Don't need to pay. But for home you want for home you want the Malwarebytes for Windows. If you're running Windows, or if you're running Mac, you run Mac. If you're running whatever, you're whatever. Now, I'll open it up here. It's basically like any other anti-malware, only it doesn't run constantly. It doesn't run constantly, which is a good thing. You can tell it to run constantly and it will, but it doesn't. It's very, very, very effective at doing what it does. Now, of course I can't run these. I'll install it, but I can't run these because if I do, they will close off the video for you guys. Now, the upside of having JRT is that when JRT will pop it open and do a text file. It'll create a text file here, like something like this. Right? I don't even know what that's for. Oh, okay, I know what that's for. It'll create a text file. Let me get rid of this guy here. Can't. But it'll create a text file like that, a TXT document, that you can potentially, you can click on it and view all the things it's gotten rid of, it's done, step by step, and you can upload it anywhere as well for help if you need to. Now, that is why I like that one. Now, of course, that is one way of, those are the two programs I use, and they get rid of 99% of it. And then there's one other thing most people don't do, and that is, you're supposed to regularly wipe your computer. By wipe, I mean factory reset. Get rid of everything. Now, you're supposed to do it regularly, like every year. Once every year at least, or when it starts to get slow and bogged down. Now, I did mine just a couple months ago. And keep in mind, this is a 10-year-old laptop, and it runs like it's brand new. It's a 10-year-old laptop. And to prove my point here, I will show you. Performance. That's what it's running right now. For 10 years of constant use. It's what it's running. It's running beautifully. Now it's incredible. Now, and the reason is because every year I'd wipe the hard drive, factory reset the entire thing, right? Just like I got it right out of the box. Now, it's different for every computer make, model. Normally, it's usually a button you hold when you boot the system up. It'll boot into recovery mode, and you just factory reset the entire damn thing. Now with Windows 10, it has its own feature of factory resetting. Windows 10 will reset everything, but it keeps all your files and folders. Most important stuff like programs like Facebook and whatever, right? TeamSpeak. and it'll get rid of Chrome. Anything that is known to have viruses in it, it'll get rid of them, and put them in a, and it'll put everything else that it wants to keep in a file folder. Set it called, there'll be a Windows folder system, and there'll be a folder system called .old Windows. That is the old Windows programs, and you can still run them. They still work perfectly fine. You just have to go and find them again, but they're in there. Now, that is, most people forget to do that. The other thing is what I do regularly, and that's just what I choose to do, is I choose to take the case off my laptop, take the case off my computer, and constantly go below and take each part out piece by piece and clean it. I clean it, and then I put it back together. Now, that is up to you. Now, what I do is I do that. Now, that usually keeps it running brand new. I mean, I've had people ask, like, look at my laptop, and they're like, wow, it runs nice. How old is this laptop? And then I tell them it's 10 years, and they look at me like I'm retarded. And I tell them, no, word of a lie, it's 10 years old. I got this 10 years ago as a gift, and it runs like brand new. Now, that is how that's how you're supposed to take care of a computer. That's how you take care of a computer. Giving you the tools you need, and I'll have all the links to all these things here for you guys. Now, we'll have all these links for you guys here. Now, that is up to you. It's up to you guys to take care of your own systems. Doing this will stop you from getting all kinds of junkware and malware and hacks. Like even earlier on this year when they had that huge hack go out where everybody's info was being stolen and everybody was having issues. I wasn't affected at all. For the simple reason, I kept my computer safe. I kept it clean, I kept it did that, and whatnot. Now, that is up to you guys. Now, I've given you the tools, given the info required for computers and whatnot. Now that is over, I will ask you this: leave a comment down below if you want some help on how to do certain things. I will look into. If I don't know how to do it, I will look into it and I will make a video on it. Other than that, subscribe, comment any suggestions on videos for games, tech stuff, how to do this, how to do that, whatever. Put it down below. Other than that, I will see you guys next time.